Hello and welcome to the Sharpening Report. I am your host, Josh Peck. I am very excited about today's show. We have returning guest and very good friend of the show, Terry Sacka, financial expert, AAMS and he's from Cornerstone Asset Metals, which you guys have probably heard me talk about quite a few times. But he's not only a financial expert, he's a prophecy expert too. And man, we have an amazing show for you today. Welcome back to the show, Terry. How are you doing?
Wonderful, Josh. I think we all should be smiling right now, right? I mean, this is not just about politics. This really, truly is about, preservation of the church and the values that we hold. And I'm very encouraged. But what's really interesting, Josh, is what's going on right now is completely different than I think many people might realize, because they're serious. Like, Trump does not have to run again. And so the policies that are coming in and what's going to happen to our financial system, it's going to be unbelievably different. And I think most people just don't have an idea of what this really means because they really haven't educated us. But the thing is, the East is doing it. The Chinese had started it. It is in play and happening. And I look forward to sharing that because I think by the end of this interview, it's going to really help a lot of us in the kingdom understand what just changed. And so much has changed, and it's exciting to inform people because, hey, if we are empowered and we are blessed, we will be blessed to be a blessing. And I think it's crucial that we preserve ourselves in the kingdom in the times to come.
Amen. I totally agree with you. And I think that's why this show is going to be so important because, obviously we're all celebrating and of course our audience is out there, but the battle is not over. We still have, we got 4 years ahead of us, and we want to make the best out of them that we can, because who knows what comes after that. But yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't know what this means economically, politically, but even prophetically. And what's great, what I love about having you on as a guest is you can talk intelligently about all three of those things and put them together in a way that anybody can understand. So for this interview, I only have one question, and then I'm going to turn it loose on you and just have you run the show because I know you got a lot of great stuff here that people want to hear. So my one question is, with this overwhelming mandate and election victory by Trump, what is this going to do for our economy moving forward? What can we expect?
Yeah, that'd be great, Josh. I think all of us, we're those really getting in, on fire with the Holy Spirit. He says, I am the lamp unto your feet. He will guide us on our direction. And we need to pay attention whether we agree or not what they're doing. Because, we don't have to always agree on some of the direction this is going to take. And I think people understand when I get into it, but it is vital because they are transforming the entire global system. And it is very important that we pay attention to this because we want to properly protect and preserve. And it's not just that, silver itself will outperform the S&P probably the next 18 months by 95%. Obviously, that's a good wealth transfer versus, the stock market or individual stocks. It's not really about that. It's actually deeper. This gets more into blockchain, into areas that many have not studied, but they have to understand it. So what we need to do is just understand what we are as an economy. We are not a money economy. You see, we didn't choose the Austrian method, which is, production and savings. We went Keynesian. And we got into this more of a socialist type of financial system, but we're not a money economy. We're a credit economy. I think we all know that, right? It's about credit. And so the banks have to have the credit lines. They have to have the loans. We have to have proper interest rates because we are truly a credit economy. And if we don't have credit or liquidity in the system, that's where we break down. That's where we literally could collapse overnight. So they need to keep expanding the balance sheet. And then in doing so, of course, that's why we see inflation. But they just took a turn. There are right now hundreds, literally hundreds of banks in deep, unrealized lost territory due to bad commercial real estate loans. This is because the cities were falling apart. Zoom, like we're doing now, has become popular. People can now leave the cities to do business, work from home. These commercial real estate loans are hundreds and hundreds of billions. It's well over 500 billion right now. The issue is they have to be refinanced. So they're getting refinanced at tremendously higher rates than they were, which is going to compound the problem. And when you refinance it, this is going to cause unbelievable issues in the bank. There are literally, like I said, hundreds that are on the block. And so this could be systemic. It's going to be a problem. I have a lot more confidence now because I know what Trump's plan is. This is just the way it is, whether we agree or not. Trump is a printer. He will print, as he said, drill, 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 baby, for energy independence. And he will lower the interest rates. Now, it's not his decision, but he will definitely put pressure to bring these rates down. Trump is actually a negative interest rate guy in the deepest of his philosophy. That's how it is, how important it is for him, because he knows lower interest rates allows small business and business to grow because we can then get credit, borrow money, and expand. But he's going to have to print. And in order to keep this system alive, now, when we hear print, many of us will go, but that's really inflationary. Yes, that's why gold and silver has been so important, keeping up with the inflation and that M2 money supply, how much currency is in the float. But it changed. Yes, it is inflationary, but they have policies already lining up that will annihilate inflation to a degree. Melee in Argentina did it within months, and they're going to do it in a couple different ways. Now, before I get started on that, just know this stock market pump that just happened, it went up like 1,500 points because of Trump winning. Be very cautious. This is a head fake. The world is going into a global recession. So that stock market's a head fake. Be very, very careful. Right now, going into the stock market, the probability of your return on your investment is going to be significantly lower than if you do alternatives like tangible assets. Number one, gold and silver obviously will be. Silver will be the bigger one just for industrial purposes more than anything. But it's going to make a big shift. This is the battle we're facing. And this is interesting. We've talked so much and we've heard on the internet so much about CBDC and the World Economic Forum and that Klaus Schwab guy, that Nazi evil guy. I mean, he's out there saying, hey, you're going to have nothing in like it. They were doing that on purpose. There was a plan. If you read the white papers, which I have, I know I'm a little nerdy that way, and I've watched their speeches. They, on one end, their goal was to take us to digital ID, digital currency, which was going to be behavioral control. They would be able to literally tell us what we cannot do, buy, and not buy if our behavior wasn't in line. The digital ID was going to be very dangerous because they're going to track everything we do. Now, this is leading up to, was going to anyway, called the Great Taking. And I was doing a big thing on it. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute. I think the Great Taking just got a checkmate. The Great Taking, bottom line, was they have been changing the laws over the last 20 years that allowed the financial institutions to take a vast majority of our savings in the cash in the bank and our stocks and bonds in the brokerages. In the bank and brokerages, we are not only unsecured creditors, meaning we get paid back last. And I know many people say FDIC, if they understood what FDIC truly was. If you saw the video of the FDIC roundtable, they were literally trying to plot how they are going to explain to the American people the collapse that is in front of us and the bail-in, meaning the 2008 Dodd-Frank law said instead of the banks or the government or taxpayers bailing out the banks, even though they did it with the last four recently, that was just purely political, but they broke the law on Dodd-Frank. There will be a bail-in, meaning in the law, they will take a portion of your money, stocks and bonds, to bail out the financial institution. And so I was like, okay, this is being planned, in my opinion anyway. They were orchestrating a major collapse, whether it was going to be escalation in war, whether they brought in another form of pandemic or some kind of a cyber attack that lasted months. Something was being planned because they needed to convince us to go into this new CBDC realm. The problem with the Great Taking is not just the Dodd-Frank law, but they literally changed the bankruptcy codes. Commercial, you can read it in U.S. Commercial Code 5 and 6. It is wordy, But the bottom line is your stocks, your bonds, and your money in the bank not only is unsecured as a creditor status, but it is considered collateral. So it is the collateral that will support the global banks during this global collapse that was supposed to be coming. I think changed because Trump is going to dynamically change things. But the plan was for them to take it based on the legal rule that it is collateral. And many say, well, they can't do that. So, well, no, it's in the law, one. And if you study history, the Great Depression, that's exactly what they did. Most of these banks shut down. They then consolidated, took it, gave it to the handful of large banks, and then they used that to expand credit. The Great New Deal they did back in the 30s, and that's how we got America back on track. The problem we had is back then, especially World War II hit, well, of course, conveniently, right? The Great Depression, then World War II. We became the richest country in the world because Europe was given all of their gold to us to pay for the war. We had well over 70% of the world's gold after World War II, which gave us the power supreme, why we became reserve currency. Well, this time around, who is going to bail us out? If we collapsed, there is no gold coming from Europe and there is no financial. Now, we're not on a gold standard anymore, although gold is tier 1. So it is equal to legally. A few years they changed it back where gold, U.S. bonds and treasuries and cash are all equal. They're fungible so they can interchange. But there's nobody to bail us out this time. So something has to change or America literally would be insolvent. But we do have assets. We do have oil. We do have natural gas. And that's where Trump comes in. He is going to make us energy independent. So as I was saying, all this money printing is inflationary. Yes. But when we become energy independent, slash those energy prices, gas, diesel, fuel prices in half, that will lower the costs to goods and services, the groceries and so forth. And then you bring in Elon Musk, who is going to, I don't know what he's going to head, but he said he can cut $2 trillion from the budget. That is basically slashing, I think, well over a third of government employees. We have hundreds of divisions in the government bureaucracy that doesn't need to be there. And I can see Elon come in and go, okay, you got 200 people in this division. Now you're going to get 30. By doing that, that's what Milei did in Argentina. By lowering energy, and remember history, all great nations and empires are those that can have energy independence. So when you look at the political, the one side wanted to take away our independence because they were bringing us to this one world order, digital ID, digital currency controlled by the United Nations. And the UN, this is part of this battle setup. Not only did they want to do that, the United Nations, it was in play. Like it was being written. Biden was going to sign it. Trump absolutely will not. The United Nations had an emergency, what they call emergency declaration provision. So just like they did in COVID, oh, it's an emergency. Therefore, we can override your constitutional rights and local legal sovereign rights because it's an emergency. They were going to start declaring emergency on everything. Climate emergency. Therefore, you can't do this. Too much gun violence. The United Nations is coming in to take your guns. I mean, this was truly the written part of that emergency declaration in the United Nations. And then they were going to do the pandemic treaty, which gave the World Health Organization sovereign control over the United States constitutional law, forcing mandated vaccines and dealing with all of that kind of tyranny and totalitarianism. It all changed. Trump flat out not only said it, he was even thinking of making certain vaccines illegal. RFK Jr. is going to light up that FDA, CDC, get out the criminal element. FDA was supported 70% by the pharmaceutical companies. Talk about conflict of interest. All of that's going away. Maybe we get off high fructose corn syrup, get off these dyes that they put in Skittles and things. Everything changes for our health. It really does. But on one end, they were doing this through the United Nations to take down America, kill the middle class, put us into a universal basic income, and then control our behavior through the CBDC. Well, the US Congress said CBDCs are illegal. It's just a word game right now. But what they're going to do is something different. They're saying, okay, we're going to go into something more called stable coin. And a stable coin is basically a cryptocurrency backed up by an asset. So there's already a couple US dollar stable coins. There will be a few of them ran by certain platforms. So there are going to be some cryptos that are technology based. It's called fintech, where there's finance and technology combined. And the stable coin will be a corporate government collaboration to then run the money. So instead of forcing Americans through a CBDC controlled by the central bank, where the IRS is right there in the middle of it, they monitor everything we spend money on, Trump clearly said he wants us to have freedom of choice. Hopefully currency is still part of that, right? And then we have the stable coins where we can choose which ones to use, but there's no central authority governing our decisions. They're going to take us. Now, the battle set on one side, I just said, that's what they wanted to do. And I was convinced it's done. If this would have went the other way in the election, we were over. We were going to be slaves. We were going to lose freedoms in a way that people had a lot did, but it was going to be bad. Right now, it's flipped. So are the concerns the same with gold and silver and others? I'll get into this. Because on the other side of it, now we're going stable coin. Donald Trump said clearly he wants to make us the crypto capital of the world. We will lead the charge on stable coins or altcoins, which altcoins are basically technology platforms that make the payment systems work. So for those of you who use Apple Pay, very similar. We can send money to each other, right? There's technology behind that that helps that work. That's the altcoin department. Mm-hmm. So these areas will have tremendous benefit. But where it's going, because India's doing it, the BRICS are doing it. Not only are they 40% backed by gold, but the BRICS, which are now almost 159 countries, they are using this, what we call global blockchain, digitized and tokenized stablecoin and cryptocurrency freedom, but it's all going to be in digitized and tokenized. Now, when I say tokenized, our assets are going to have QSIP codes. Your house, your stock, your bond, everything is going to have a certain code that goes into the blockchain. So nobody could ever steal your house. It's in the blockchain. It's in your code, your name. Stable coins are very interesting. Cryptos are very interesting. I personally don't like them because of freedom, but I'd rather have freedom of choice through crypto than through CBDC, which was really going to be a slave state. In this way, when we use stable coins, these altcoins underneath for technology, the meme coins are different, like Dogecoin and things like that. Those are just for fun. But these other stable and altcoins in the crypto realm are real technology based. It is where the world is going. The BRICS are using something called Mbridge. It is live, and they use the system called the bridge, where two countries come together in the BRICS. They bring their currency to the platform. It converts on that platform, and then they do the transaction. The world was ran by SWIFT at the time, right up till today almost. SWIFT was what the United States did to control the world's finance. You had to, it was a communication platform. So a bank in America can talk to a bank in Japan. On this platform, they would convert the currency through the dollar and then do the trade. Well, the dollar is disappearing as the global dominant trade currency now because of this Mbridge. And when you put that in context of history, with the trillions and trillions in US dollars internationally in float, no longer in demand, what happens to them? They start coming home, which potentially not only is inflationary, but potentially hyperinflationary. So we have to kind of get a grip of where this is going. We will now have a choice if we go, well, we are going because Trump's taken us there into this stablecoin realm. They lose all central control and behavior modification technique. It's gone now. So here's where the good news comes in. He will not only offset with energy independence, lower our prices, which will save families hundreds of dollars a month, not just in fuel costs, but as grocery prices start to come down because fuel is cheaper and everything else. Even FedEx, right? I mean, I'm doing FedEx all the time with the business. I'm astounded at how expensive it is to ship anything. But not only energy independence, reducing regulation. This is where Elon Musk comes in, government waste and abuse, and prepare for a new tax and financial system. I mean, President Trump's even talking about potentially getting rid of income tax, which is true. It never should be there anyway, doing it through tariffs. And for those that don't understand the tariff, people think, oh, that's bad for the economy. It makes these things so expensive. No, what it does is forces these countries, instead of building plants in China or instead of building plants in Mexico and then bringing the product over the border, it forces them to build the plant here in the United States, which is going to translate to millions of high-paying manufacturing jobs for the American people. So tariffs are right on. We can get rid of income tax, which is very, very possible, and subsidize that with the tariff tax. So doing that is great because, like I said, Trump is a negative interest rate guy. So he will bring these rates down, which is good news for all of us if we want to buy a house, we want to move, sell. But doing so is extremely inflationary, and it will cause gold and silver to explode to new levels because the interest rates kind of control that trade. But we have to know right now anyway, because the media has not told us, there is too much what I call low information discussions. Yeah. Most are just unaware of what is being built around them. Something called, it was kind of like what you'd call Bretton Woods 3. This is the thing they made after World War II, Bretton Woods, where they made gold a certain thing and then they brought it down and they said, okay, we're all going to use oil for the US dollar. And they organized the financial system to keep the banks in a certain reserve status. Well, Bretton Woods 3 is emerging. It's going to be a digitized cross-border payment collaboration that will change the financial transaction system as we know it. So not only is the SWIFT gone that the U.S. controls, it'll still be there, but I think it becomes obsolete. Countries are going to now start using this cross-border payment crypto system using stable coins. That changes everything. Well, and here's where it gets interesting. Well, SWIFT, I explained how it's just the communication. It's the way the United States used to control countries. It used to be how we would not just blackmail them, but we would put sanction on them. We won't let you on the SWIFT, therefore you couldn't trade. But here's where it gets more interesting. We think, oh, well, all of this, if he cuts inflation, then gold and silver will drop in value. Well, the thing is, gold is going to be tokenized. As I said, everything's becoming a token. Everything's going to have a code. Gold and silver are instrumental in the new digital currency crypto world. We're really gold, but silver is going to be piggybacking that ride. Gold, not only is the BRICS currency unit 40% backed by gold, these stable coins have to have an asset backing it. That's what gives it its credibility and value. You can't just create a currency out of nothing and say, okay, here it is, because what backs it up to give confidence it's good? Commodities. That's why we're coming into a commodity super cycle over the next 4 or 5 years. Commodities back up these stable coins. Gold is going to be the number one commodity backing up stable coins. Even the United States is going to have to do this. The lady that's coming in, hopefully she does, she's right next to Trump, named Judy Shelton. She is a gold bug. She is about a gold-backed currency, probably will create a gold-backed U.S. bond, and gold itself then becomes tokenized as a backing of the U.S. dollar stablecoin. And it will be fractionalized. So if people ever tried to buy Bitcoin, you don't buy one, right? It's like $72,000. You buy like a tenth of a Bitcoin. It's fractionalized. Gold is going to get fractionalized too. But because gold is instrumental in the value and the confidence of these currencies, gold is going to heights people will have, they just won't believe it. I mean, I've been told by insiders where it's going, but if I told you right now, trust me, you're going to laugh and you wouldn't believe me. You won't get your hands on it in the future. That's how valuable it's going to be. And of course, silver will ride that train, and silver will probably be hundreds and hundreds of dollars in value. Most people in my industry say we're going to a 10-to-1 ratio where 10 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. If we do that, silver is, $1,000, but it's an industrial metal. So I think there'll be a lot of pushback. But the bottom line is these assets will translate into a wealth transfer because on one hand, we're going to create an inflationary environment, but then he's going to do policies that's going to bring down inflation. So it's fascinating. So we think, well, we don't need these, but the new cross-border digital payment system is going to be relying on gold. So it changes. So we keep hearing CBDC. We make it illegal. We'll make stablecoin the same way. Just a government, private, corporate collaboration. This is why certain altcoins and such are going to be very, very instrumental. So we here in the world of crypto, for those that don't know a whole lot about it, let me just tell you this. Crypto is a generic term. You have your bean coins, which are like Dogecoin. They're just kind of for fun. Your altcoins, which are like fintechs, finance and technology, software that are patent, that run the digital system. And then the stable coins, which will be the government coins. So a lot of countries will have CBDC. They're going to, like China, they will directly control their people's behavior through money. You see it in Europe. If you don't comply, we turn your money off. Look what happened in Canada during the protests. They went into the bank accounts and they shut their money off. You see, this is where we were going. But now that Trump's in, he wants to give us freedom of choice of what kind of money we use. So these stable coins backed by gold are going to be very valuable. This change is coming, whether we like it or not. Most don't truly understand it because this whole realm is going to flip upside down everything we know about finance. Banks, I have been told privately, people that work with banks, they are and have been working on the infrastructure of these digitized cross-border payment crypto systems. One day soon here in the future, and I mean real soon, we're going to wake up just like that. And they're going to say, this is our new monetary system. They're doing it. So it's not a matter of what I'm saying is an idea. It's actually in the works and they're doing it. They're building the infrastructure right now. And many in the Christian world, I've seen them talk about this. Even prophets are saying it. QFS. It's all going to be the QFS, a quantitative financial system where everything is digitized. Everything is in the blockchain. They're pretty right in the sense of where this is going. Now, there isn't a QFS. They keep saying open a QFS account. There is no such thing right now. So they're a little bit ahead of themselves on what they see, the prophets, but they're correct. We are going into this cross-border digitized crypto world, whether we like it or not. QFS is a way for this to happen. And then, of course, within that, gold becomes extremely valuable. Certain crypto coins become valuable. And I know it's difficult because crypto can be confusing. But this is such a radical financial shift. It's going to allow the world to get back to global trade. We all know this because if you right now, I have a part missing for my vehicle and it's going to take 6 weeks to get it. And I said, 6 weeks? He goes, we don't have a supply chain. I mean, Biden destroyed the supply chain by attacking Russia, and we just destroyed it, the relationships with China and Russia. And the supply chain is difficult. It's very hard to get goods, especially if we went to war with China. This is crazy because we in America would be in deep trouble. But it's changing now. If we truly move in this direction, which I truly believe they are, Trump's made it clear he wants to, not only do we maintain freedom, but we are going into this digital realm and gold and silver. And here's where this kind of gets most important for gold and silver. If we're going fully digital, which we're going to, we have no choice. We can't stop it whether we like it or not. I never wanted it, didn't want to go there, but I'm realizing we're not stopping it, right? If the whole system is digital in the computer, we're vulnerable. We're focusing on everything in the smartphone. All of a sudden, our phone, what if you lose your phone, right? What if the internet goes down? Look what happened in North Carolina during the hurricane. They were taking silver in the grocery stores because the debit cards didn't work. The energy was down. They were using ham radios to communicate. Who's to say we didn't get an EMP if we end up escalating into war, or a big burst from the sun that could shut down the electronic system? If we are 100% of our wealth and savings in that realm where it's all digital, we are extremely vulnerable. And so the way I take it is gold and silver are going to continue to rise. Silver, because it's industrial. Now Samsung even has a silver solid state battery that goes twice the miles, like 600 miles per charge, charges in 10 minutes, not an hour. And the battery can last like 20 years. It's revolutionary technology. The problem is we don't have the physical silver because it's competing with solar panels. Solar panels take a lot of physical silver as well. And China and India and others in the East are relying heavy on solar panels. So just the demand of electric cars right now, the new silver solid state batteries, solar panels, and let's not forget military, hundreds of ounces going to a Tomahawk missile of silver. It is a vital commodity, the most important commodity in the world next to crude oil. And most don't realize that. They don't want anybody knowing because they don't want you buying it. At these prices, it would be considered super cheap if you understood what was coming in the industrial side for silver. Nothing replaces silver besides gold, unfortunately. And gold is almost $3,000 an ounce. So silver, it's obvious that that's what we have to use. But even Samsung CEO said, when silver is $200 an ounce, here's how much it changes the price of our goods. So we know where silver is going. That could be over 1,000% return just going to these levels. That's a pretty good wealth transfer. But to get to the bottom line, if we are fully digital, which I just think we're not stopping, even Trump made it clear we're going into it, we better have the physical asset outside the digital world. So even in an IRA or personal, if you have gold and silver in a vault, you own it physically. So if the digital world goes down, you're preserved because you have the physical asset. And so knowing that it is attached, it's going to get fractionalized, and gold is going to be one of the biggest commodities given these stable coins, the asset back value they needed. You know gold where it's going. I know easy just on the industrial side in my world that gold will see 5,000 over the next couple of few years. But if they go into this digital world, it's a lot higher than that. And of course, silver follows. So having gold and silver outside the system for our peace of mind, it's going to be personal to what people think. I mean, it'd be well over half of my assets would be in physical, tangible, because if the digital realm goes down, we're done. Now, is it still possible that we go to war with Russia? Escalate? It is, but I don't see Trump doing this. So I'm very relieved because we were going in this direction where the great taking was going to happen. I don't know what the power elites are going to do. The pandemic treaty is not getting signed. The United Nations emergency declaration is dead in the water as far as I'm concerned. Trump's not going to allow it. And so we, the people, have been given a reprieve to be free. We better not take advantage of this, though. The church needs to power up. We need to stand our ground. We need to start defending. Hey, in the Bible, it says, right when it's time to stand, you stand. It's time that we do, and we take authority back for morality, protect the church, protect our children, and we have a tremendous opportunity. Man, Josh, I am so ecstatic by this. With what Trump can do, minus those neocon and those that want to go to war and those that are going to try to stop him, I think this time Trump's not going to play games. If we pull this off, yes, we're going to have inflationary measures, but yet he's going to do things that keeps that down, especially energy independence. Gold and silver become very valuable for those that want to get into altcoins, get into certain crypto, no doubt. But if we go here, I'm talking everyone down to a waiter and a waitress will have an opportunity to be prosperous and well. It just will. We have a potential fixing the supply chain, getting peace into the world, bringing this collaboration of cross-border digital payment systems in play. The prosperity will be enormous. The trillions and trillions that will be created. Now I can even see why possibly, I'm not a real fan of it because it doesn't make sense in my head, why certain currencies in the world are going to revalue. And if they do, it made no sense because like, why would they just instantly create trillions and trillions and trillions by dropping off zeros? Well, it creates liquidity. So even if it's Vietnam or if it's Iraq or some of these others, all of a sudden trillions gets created that can then go into the financial system and create business and economy. So for instance, Vietnam, China was controlling that. So that's what kind of got me interested because China's behind that. If Vietnam did revalue the dong, then trillions of wealth were created out of thin air. They would be buying goods from China. So it stimulates Chinese economy. So this is where that battle comes in that I started talking about. On one end, they were trying to enslave the world through behavior or enslave our behavior through digital ID CBDC currencies. This looks like it's just failed for now. We just got to keep praying for Trump. He stays alive enough to get in. But we've got to, hold ground there. But the fact that they lost this argument right at this moment in time in history, and we are moving into the stablecoin realm and cryptocurrency realm, certain commodities are going to be worth a fortune because commodities run the world. And now it's a matter of who's going to control what commodity. That's where rare earth minerals come in, natural gas, oil. There's so much behind the scenes. But the amount of wealth that is going to possibly be created. So on one end, they wanted to enslave us and take our wealth away because with money, we won't need them as a central authority. Mm-hmm. On the other half, we're free and we can have trillions of wealth created and our economies would expand and boom for all of us. And what we can do even within the church with resources to get out and expand the word throughout the world. So this is a major, major battle. We've won the first one. The war is not over, but we've won a major, major battle here. And the opportunity for a wealth transfer is going to be enormous. So I would encourage people to, if they haven't, get into looking into cryptos to some extent, understand them. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever heard of Lauren Atkinson?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, she's a sweetie. She's an evangelist. She's on YouTube. But she has a really good masterclass program that teaches people all of the do's and don'ts of crypto, how you do it. And so it can be overwhelming, but I think some people should absolutely take a little bit of dip into that world because the wealth transfer is going to be staggering. But knowing that gold is now going to become part of the stablecoin ecosphere and fractionalized, the value of gold will be going through the roof because they'll need that value to go to offset the debts that are out there. And then, of course, silver rides that train. So knowing that this is the shift in the financial system where we're going, we want to be diversified differently because the stock market will probably have to cleanse. I'm still thinking they're going to try to hammer it on his watch just because, but it does need to cleanse. We are in a global recession. So we are going to go through whatever this is of a cleansing. There will be a correction to some extent. The next 12 to 18 months will be radical change, but you will see silver dramatically outperform the S&P over the next 12 to 18 months. So why not be in silver in a vault, especially in a retirement account, and just sit put? You're going to be safe as far as a physical asset, away from the digital world while we're going through this transition. It will substantially outperform next to individual stocks. And then as the market cleanses, they kind of figure out where they're going. Everything gets retooled. As interest rates come down and then printing of trillions gets put in for liquidity, we will probably see an economic boom. So when Trump says that, it's actually real if we do it right. It's just as, can we overcome the central authority of the world like the UN and them wanting to enslave us, or are we going to be set free and wealth can be transferred to all of us in such a different way? And so this is a radical shift, being that we're going into this world of crypto and stable coin, blockchain technology. I personally don't like it because I think it's nobody's business what we own. But the problem is we can't stop it. Knowing what it's going to do and knowing what we can do to benefit from it, that will benefit not just ourselves, our family, our community, but in our church. I think that's prudent of us to take what steps needed to get it done. Because if we don't, we're left in the dust and we'll miss great wealth transfers because we're battling the stock market and all excited we're making, 10% or 15% when real inflation is 12%. Now I'm hoping Trump brings that down, doing what he's going to do. Hopefully we do take the House, which gives us a full mandate and we can get this done. We become energy independent. America absolutely will shine again. And it's ironic, Trump said it. I want to bring America back to the golden age. And no kidding, he can. And along the way, though, that's where gold is truly going to be part of the golden age. You probably won't get your hands on it, but it will be what backs up these stable coin environments as we retool the global financial system. The good news, we're not looking like a CBDC. We're not going to be enslaved. We're not going to be told what to do so far. So let's just keep praying because that's our battle. But I think this is tremendous information, a shift in what was coming. It's very encouraging, but at the same time, we do have to be in the right place in order to benefit from it. And I think over the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to be very shocked what changes are coming.
Amen. And I can't wait to see it. That's great too, because this gives us some time to act and to prepare for, these wonderful things that are coming. Now, I don't, for those in the audience that watch this show regularly, there are very few companies, really none except you guys, that I fully endorse and support on the show. But I think that it's so important because you treat Cornerstone like it's a ministry. It's not technically on paper a ministry, but it's a company, but you treat it like a ministry. It's there to minister for brothers and sisters in Christ. And it's especially important because there are so many companies out there, so many gold and silver companies that just gouge people. And a lot of them are con artists, even calling themselves Christian while doing it. So for those who are just not familiar at all, can you tell us about what Cornerstone is, how it's different, and how the regular viewer at home right now can get involved with some of their assets and invest in some gold and silver with you guys?
Oh, it is important because it just shifted. I mean, gold and silver was important for certain reasons. Now that looks like it's shifted, but now it's even more important because we're going into this commodity-backed stablecoin, cross-border digital world. Wow. So it will be very important to do. Cornerstone is really, like you said, it's almost a business / ministry because we really care. We're very on fire. A lot of my team, we even went to Bible school together. Like we're pretty serious about being serious about the Holy Spirit. But it was about dreams I had that, the Lord finally told me, get my people ready for what is coming. And, if you don't, flames burst up. And this was back-to-back dreams. And that's what started Cornerstone. It was vital to get out there and get the kingdom in the right place. It is simple to do. You can go to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. It is so important, so simple to explain. And we do have a wealth guide. There's actually a wonderful 24-page wealth guide digital that you can download, print it out if you want to, or just read it from the computer. But it explains a lot about gold and silver, what it is, how we use it, how we sell it, how we store it. And it's a nice explanation. I think going to the website, it's a very simple website. We have a brand new site redesigned to keep it real clean and real simple. We're there to help guide. We're there to guide you through the process of IRA transfers, which no tax event when you do so. You can park your IRAs into physical gold and silver while we're working through this system and while I think the markets are cleansing out, and then sell off at profit later on and go back in when we see what tree is standing in this forest fire, I call it. But Cornerstone is about really guiding you, being there to walk you through, answer the questions. Like you said, that's true. Most of those companies, they're about sales, period.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just not. We're about more of a family because this is kingdom business as far as I'm concerned. So we want to answer your questions. We want you to feel comfortable about the process. And we want you to know going forward, after we're done with a transaction, it's not done. We're here for the long haul. I have certain people I talk to that I've been talking to for years. Just wonderful, wonderful people. And if they're really complicated situations, I know there's large money accounts, complicated scenarios with inheritance or things going on. You can ask directly for me. If you ask one of the team members, if you want to talk to me, I did have 5 financial licenses. I truly understand the financial system. I was a financial advisor. That's why my AAMS, because I was an accredited asset management specialist. I do get it. If anything, I can offer an opinion. I have a right to do that. I don't operate as a financial advisor anymore. I'm strictly in tangible assets, but I have a right to an opinion, and I can at least be another soundboard for the really complicated large accounts, because it can get confusing. And the system just wants you to stay in the system, the banks, the brokerages. But knowing that your collateral in that area isn't the best feeling. I would not want to be all in collateral in that area. I just wouldn't. I think it's very dangerous. I do have faith Trump is taking us in the right direction, but let's be serious. At any moment, something can change. And so, if something happens to Trump or something escalates to a war, they're in trouble, the global elites. And so we need to be properly prepared and protected. And the good news is we're here before, during, and all the way after. Even when it comes time to sell, we will be here to buy back and help you and transfer that currency to you. It's a very simple process to do, Josh. You could register for information, get yourself that wealth guide. That's a pretty cool guide. The gentleman that built it for me, he's just amazing and on fire Christian too. And we have such an amazing team. And it's there to really get that started so you understand that not only constitutionally, Article 1, Section 8, gold, grains of silver, biblically, Haggai 2:8, the gold is mine, the silver is mine. You can't fake it. You can't print it. It is it. And there is going to be, in this commodity super cycle, a wealth transfer like no other. And I will emphasize, if you haven't read, go read Job 27, the oldest book in the Bible, right? And when you read that, and he talks about the wicked pile up silver like dust, because back then silver was the money. So the wicked always hoarded it, as the wicked today hoard most of the money, right? The top percentile hoards all the money. The scripture goes on to say, but in the end, it will be distributed to the innocent, which I really translate as Christians. And God spoke me in a wonderful man. Oh gosh, good man. Sid Roth. He's a good client of ours too. And God had literally told him physical silver, and he didn't understand why. So we started talking, and physical silver is his. And I truly believe if we are in physical silver as money, God's money and constitutional, versus this fiat paper currency note like this, if we're away from this, although this was a silver certificate back in the day, but if we're away from the world's money, we're in the world, not of the world. If we're away from that in God's money, I truly believe Job 27 is speaking. When the system collapses, the currencies go down, the silver is where the wealth is going to transfer to as part of it, because it's real money. And I think that is a wealth transfer. Now it is going into some of these stable coins, crypto coins. Now we don't really help in stable coin, crypto coin. I should make that clear. I think that's why I brought out, Lauren's name, because she has a great master class to teach people. But I can't. Now I can offer you an opinion, but we don't do business in crypto. But I do believe it is important. I know it's where we're going. We just have to be prepared. And we are here, though, as buyers and sellers of physical, tangible, precious metals. We're directly involved in the refinery, directly involved in minting, and directly involved in storage. So you can privately hold it in a vault, not only in your IRA, but personally, especially if it's a large amount and you don't want it at home. But just get started. Get the wealth guide. Get started. Call us if you want to. This is a good time to act, because we're in a pause phase while everybody's figuring out what's going on. But once we start printing those trillions and once we start lowering these rates more, gold and silver will take off to new levels. You don't want to miss that jump.
Amen. I totally agree. And for everybody at home, all of that information you've probably seen on the screen. I have it on the screen while Terry was talking, but also it's in the description below. Me and Cornerstone have been working together for years now, and I have absolutely zero complaints. But this is why I don't promote a whole lot of companies on here, because it does take a long time to get to know somebody. It takes even longer to get to know a company, and in a way that you can really trust, especially if you're in a position to suggest or recommend that company to somebody else or an audience like I have, especially when it involves their finances. But I can unequivocally say that Cornerstone is it. If you even have a slight interest in looking into some silver or gold, like Terry said, at least go to the website and get the free guide. I mean, that's not going to cost you anything. Make a phone call, ask some questions. These people, they're Christians like us. They're not salesmen. They're not going to be bugging you every 5 minutes. And they're not like that. They're just here to help. Treat them as Christian brothers and sisters and get some questions answered. But yeah, all that information is in the description below. I should mention too, normally, if this is the first time that you've been watching the Sharpening Report, normally I take these episodes and I have to split them in half for censorship issues on YouTube. And I usually put the first half on YouTube and I put the whole thing up on Daily Renegade. This is one of those rare times where I'm going to put the whole thing up on YouTube and hope for the best. I don't think you never know.
Anything. I think we did good. I don't know if we crossed any censorship lines, right? But thank God, maybe Trump is going to free us of that too, which I think he will. Yeah. But I think we did. I'm thinking through the episode here, and I don't think we said anything that should make anybody mad. So.
Yeah, same here. And it's always hard to tell because they don't tell you the things that to look for, and then they never. Yeah,
but I mean, it's so hard because I'm an Army soldier, right? I mean, I was like big time. I was gun ho America, and I was all in, and then I'm like, what do you mean I can't say something? Isn't the First Amendment there to actually protect the speech you didn't like? So how was this? And it was a shock. I almost got canceled a few times. And so I've learned my lesson, but I don't like learning my lesson. We're America. We should have free speech. And if you don't like it, tough. How about that? Yep. That's what free speech is all about. But I think we did a good job. So I think that'll be a good one.
I think so too. So yeah, for all you at home, but you are going to get early access if you're a member of Daily Renegade. So members of Daily Renegade are going to get this the same day that I record them. I try to record these interviews early so I can do that. So everybody, if you're watching this on the Daily Renegade website now, you're getting this a full week in advance that everybody else is going to get it on YouTube. So even when I do put a full episode up, I always make sure that Daily Renegade has early access. So if you're not a member yet, go to dailyrenegade.com, get a membership today. It's only $10 a month or $100 a year. If you can do it, I suggest getting the year because technically you get 2 months for free and you just have to pay for it once and you don't even have to think about it again until Trump is in the White House.
And let me offer this, Josh, for you too on that. We do, a lot of us now, we have to. We become part of membership services like this because information, there is a lot of things we want to say, especially us in prophetic and in the biblical world that we cannot say. And so I subscribe to a few, but I will tell people, if you're not a member of Daily Renegade, you definitely want to, because Josh gets really deep in certain topics that the internet's just not going to like. They don't like the power of the Holy Spirit. They don't like prophetic deep dive, showing the truth, of what's out there. And there's some pretty cool stuff on the Daily Renegade that's behind the scenes. And I think for $100, it's more than worth it. And you're blessing an amazing man with an amazing family. So I would encourage you, only because I've seen the difference, what's public and what's private behind the scenes. And I know it's definitely worth it.
Oh, thank you so much. That really means a lot. And yeah, it's an honor to provide that. And I'm glad that we have this partnership, because the way that I run Daily Renegade is just like you. Technically, it is a company because it has to be. We're not 501c3. So if you donate to us, it's just a free gift. We don't get involved in the government and taxes, and I'm not going to have the government tell me what to do and say. So it's technically, it's an LLC, but we do run it like a ministry, much like you do at Cornerstone. So I'm really glad that we have this partnership. Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us about it sounds like there's a lot of bright things ahead, but a lot of things that we need to prepare for and still work for. And it's just great to have access to this information. So Terry, thank you so much again for coming on the show.
Oh, God bless you, Josh. It's been wonderful. I'm just so excited. I mean, the sun has risen in such a way, the scales are off the eyes, and we have the ability, as the Holy Spirit is the lamp unto our feet. Now let's start speaking it out, the power of our words. Let's start taking authority in a way that we were not used to doing, because it is very good news. But I do believe if we are in the right place financially, we have an explosive wealth transfer way beyond those that'll stay in traditional investments. And they're going to look back one day and go, wow, did I just miss an opportunity of a lifetime? That's how magnificent of a revolutionary change globally this is going to be.
Amen. I totally agree. And I'm excited to see it. And I'm excited to have you back on again to talk about it once we get there, ready for another update video like this. But once again, thanks for coming back on the show. We'll have to have you back on again sometime soon.
God bless you, brother. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
God bless you too. And God bless all of you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Sharpening Report. And again, if you don't have a membership, this gives you a little sneak peek into what you're missing. So head on over to Daily Renegade, head on over to Cornerstone Asset Metals. All of that information is in the description below. And until next time, love you all. Take care and God bless.